Hello everyone, greetings from PayTabs technical support team. In this series, you will learn how to integrate with PayTabs through our PT2 API endpoints. And we will walk you through the fourth integration type, which is the own form. For the purpose of this series, we have created a very simple Laravel project to walk you through the integration process. But feel free to follow the steps in this series with your own project, whatever the programming language or the frameworks used to integrate with PayTabs. So, let's get started. In this video, we are going to learn how we can handle the post-payment response or notification inside our own form integration type. So, let's get started. The first thing you should know is that you can find the full details for this part inside PayTabs support portal under the article called the Own Form APIs Integration Manual. Now, from the integration manual, if we navigate to step 6 over here, we will find that step 6 is dedicated to handle your payment or your post-payment responses or notification. Now, these responses are a server-to-server request from PayTabs to your server after the payment is fully completed and it contains all the details. So, this is the response that you should rely on to update your system, your customer, or to do any updates for the payment. Now, you can handle the post-payment responses using the IPN response for all of your transactions initiated in your PayTabs profile, and you can learn more about that by following the steps mentioned inside our solution article, How to Configure Instant Payment Notification or IPN. But for this video, we are clarifying how we can receive the post-payment responses using the callback URL. The callback URL is a URL that you provide inside your payment request, like this one, okay? And this URL will receive a full detailed transaction response containing all the transaction details once the payment is done, once this payment is done. So you can use this callback. Of course, it needs to be created from your side. It needs to handle the payment correctly. And finally, it needs to be secured, meaning it needs to be an HTTPS URL. So if you can provide this URL inside your request, you will receive all the transaction details, and the transactional details will contain this sample response. It will look like this. Any details you have or you need from your transaction, it will be provided inside this sample response payload, and this sample response payload will be sent to the callback URL provided in this request, so you need to handle it accordingly. So for this series, I have used a webhook. Along the series, we have used a webhook to receive the callback response, and this is actually a very good. Let's delete all of these responses to see a new one. And this is actually a very easy way to view how the response from PayTabs is coming to you, and then you can handle it according to your own business needs, but you will need to handle this response. So as you can see, I have copied this webhook URL and I have attached it to my request over here. Here it is. And now we are going to initiate a very simple payment containing this callback URL. But again, make sure this URL must be a secured URL and HTTPS. And of course, it needs to handle the payment response or the sample response that we agreed it will look like this. So your URL needs to handle this payment response. So for example, it needs a post URL. It will contain any functionality to handle these parameters, so on. So now I'm going to get back to my payment page. I'm going to initiate another payment like that. I'm going to use one of my test cards. This time I maybe use a non-3DS card. Here we go, like that. And once I press on checkout, you will see now inside my callback, I have received a callback response. This callback response will contain all the transaction details, your cart details, your customer details. If you have provided a shipping details, you will contain it. Of course, the most important object, which is the payment result, contains the result of this payment. If it's authorized, if it's declined, if it's an error, okay, it will contain the payment info for your customer, like the first 6 numbers of your customer card, its expiry months, its expiry year. If you have tokenized this transaction, you will receive the token. If you are using a user-defined option, you will find this user-defined. This is how we can use the callback response. And of course, the same as the return URL, we can verify this callback by following the same solution article over here. You can see over here we have the verify, callback, and IP and URL. It's a very simple idea that we calculate the hash of the whole payload received. It's simpler than the return URL. You simply need to calculate all of the payload that you received over here, as you can see this one. So once you calculate it, okay, you need to hash it, okay, and of course we will hash it using the SHA-256 algorithm, and then compare the calculated in step 1 with the signature payload received. So as we agreed, we will receive a signature over here. For any response we will receive a signature. So what you need to do is I need you to compare the two signature received from this response along with the response clarified here, the way we calculated and chat, and make sure that it's the same. And now you will have verified that this callback is coming from PayTabs side, and you can use it from your side. Now we can move to the next part.